In this video, I want to take one look at how to do a Fibonacci spiral. And so I'm going to start a new sketch, and then I'm going to draw a polygon. And so I'll select an inscribed polygon or circumscribed polygon, and I'll click anywhere on the screen and I'll tab, and I'll put in 4 as the number of sides. So I'm sketching a square. Now I intended this to be a construction line type, so I'll select that geometry and I'll right click and select construction, or come over to the sketch palette and change that to construction. I'll then draw a 3-point arc, and I'll start here and I'll end here, and I'm going to come up here, but I don't want that tangent. I want to keep the constraints as simple as possible, so I don't want a tangent constraint. I'll click about right there. Now I would have preferred to use a center point arc and tell it the center point here and then end point, but when I tried center point, it didn't put a coincident constraint there. So with the 3-point arc, now I'll put the coincident between here, and because it's over here, I can clearly see it. It's not over top of each other, and so then I'm going to copy this, and I might just make it a little bit smaller for now, and I'm going to copy this. And so this works on a Windows machine. I'm not sure on a Mac. So I'm going to do select this, and I'll do Control C for copy, and then I'll do Control V for paste, and I'm going to move the copy that I made over here. And unfortunately I can't just keep on clicking. I have to say OK each time. And I'll do Control V again, and I'll move the next copy, and Control V again. And so I can do this as many times as I need, and I'll just do this a few more times. And so let's put one over here, and I'll Control V again, and I'm going to put one up, or move this over here. Alright, and then I'm going to constrain this geometry to the origin. Notice that we don't have any constraints right now except for the symbol for symmetry. So we're trying to keep this, well, we also have a coincident here, here, and here, but I'm trying to keep the constraints as simple as possible. So I'll do a coincident between the start of this arc and the origin, and then I'm going to put a horizontal constraint on this line. Notice that the two lines turn dark. I'm then going to dimension the height of this square, and I'm going to leave this to whatever it is, or just change it by a minor amount. Let's say 20. Now it doesn't matter if it was 200, leave it at 200. If it's 2000, leave it at 2000. The dimension doesn't matter, but don't change it drastically at this point. We'll change it later. I'm then going to do a coincident, and I'm going to select this arc, and I'm going to put it at the end of this arc, and then I'll hold down the Shift key, and I can get the midpoint of this line, and I'll put it at the end point of that line. And so now this line will always be twice the length of the previous square. Right, then I'll keep on doing that, so I'll do coincident from here to here. Now sometimes when you try to do the midpoint, it can't solve it, and I'll try this, and so that time it didn't solve it, so I'll help it out. I'll drag this around, and now I'll do that again. So I'll do constrain, I'll hold down the Shift key, and I'll select the midpoint of this line, put it over here, and then I'll do the next one, and I'll Shift key and put that to this location. I'll do the next one. You see how easy this is then to use this method to quickly construct this spiral. And so I'll do this one, and I'll put it up here, hold down the Shift key, midpoint of that to this end, and let's finish sketch on that, and let's see so far. So everything is fully constrained. I might exercise this, so I'm going to edit that sketch, and I'm going to double click on that 20. I'll change it to 25. Okay, so it immediately updates. If I wanted to rotate this, I could delete this horizontal constraint, and then I could rotate this some angle, and I could put in an angle dimension if I so desired. I'm going to go back to where it was. Let's say I wanted to add a couple more to this, so I'll Control V again, and I see my copy, and it's still on the clipboard, so I'll Control V again, and I'll move another copy here. And so let's put a couple more in here. So you see how that works. It's as long as it's on the clipboard, and I'll select here to here. And again, this one actually it became constrained horizontally because it was close to horizontal to begin with, and so I'll have to remove that horizontal, and then I can do my midpoint. So I'll do coincident, I'll do shift midpoint, this one to here. There's also a midpoint constraint up here. Now that one, actually I copied the wrong one. I copied the one that has the 2-inch or the dimension on it. That's why earlier I intentionally made those copies before I put the dimension on there. And so then I'll do coincident, the shift midpoint of this one to here, and let's do one more, and I'll do this point to this point, and I'll do and again, this one I copied with the constraint, so I need to remove that horizontal constraint. And now I'll put that in coincident, and I'll do shift here to here. Okay, so I've shown how to set this up. Now I think that a true Fibonacci spiral is actually a spline rather than these simplified arcs. But if you go on Wikipedia and you find the difference between the two curves, it's very minimal, the difference between a true Fibonacci spiral and this simplified arc, circular arc version. Now let's say that I want to make this into some kind of artwork for putting on the wall or hanging on the wall. So I'm going to do an extrude. Now because I don't have a closed loop, I need to put it on a thin feature extrude. So I'll do a thin extrude, and I can select these individual arcs to extrude, or I could put a window around everything and extrude everything at once. But let's do it one at a time. Let's say that we're going to 3D print this, and our printer won't allow us to print anything over a certain size, the table size. And so maybe I want to break this up into certain sizes. Maybe I can extrude that. And so I'm going to put in a distance, let's say, of 2 millimeters. And my wall thickness I'm going to do is 2 millimeters as well. And then for the location, I'm going to put that centered so that that goes down the center point of that line. And I'm going to say OK to that, and I'll make that sketch visible again, and I'll extrude my next one. And so I'll go to my thin feature, and I'll select that. Now I might want to assign some variable names so that I don't have to keep typing in the distance, and then just put in those variable names. And so I've extruded this one, and I'll keep going around and around. Now let's say that this piece though won't fit onto our table for our 3D printer. And actually I want to do one more step before I forget. Maybe at the ends of this we want it to be rounded, so I'm going to do a fillet, and I will do a full round fillet, and I'll select this end face. Now make sure you get the side faces highlighted, not the top and bottom face, depending on how you want this to go. I want the side faces, and so it puts that fillet. Now the advantage of that full round fillet is I don't have to put in a radius. If I change the size of this extrusion thickness, that radius will automatically update. But getting back to the point of, I want to split this arc up. So as we go around, the arcs get bigger and bigger. And maybe I can fit this on my table, but maybe I can't fit this one. So we see we have, and actually when I did that, I meant to tell it to do a new body. So I'll go back to that extrusion, and I'll say edit feature, and I'm going to tell it, instead of join, I'm going to tell it to do a new body. Okay, so now I have two bodies. I have this body and I have this body, which we'll glue together later. But maybe this is too big, or this next one or the next one or so forth is too big, and I want to split that up. So I'm going to start a new sketch, and let me turn on the sketch planes, and I'll do a new sketch, and I'm going to do P for project, and I'm going to project this point to the center of that arc, and I might also project this point, and I might project this point right here. I got the wrong one. I got that arc. I wanted just that point. Let me see if I can get rid of that extra projection. And I'm not sure I got it at all. Let me try that again. So I'll do P for project. I want to get this point, and I want to get this point, and I want to get the center of that arc. Let me get around here to the top view, and so I want the center of this arc. Okay, so I have this point projected, this point, and this point projected, and actually I got the wrong one. I intended that one, so I'll do P for project, and I'll get this one, and let me delete that one if it'll let me. Okay. That symbol is from the sketch number 1, the previous sketch. Alright, then I'm going to draw a line in here from here to here, and actually I want to go a little bit past that, so let me undo that. I'm going to draw that line from here, from the center of this, and I'm not sure I did the undo because it looks like it's still there. Let me undo that again. Okay. And I'll draw a line from here, and I want to go make sure I go past that point, because remember that point is in the middle of this, and actually it might not be necessary. And then I'll go from here, say over here at some angle, and then I'm going to make these two lines equal to each other. So I'll make this equal to this. Whoops, I got the wrong one. I'll make this equal to this, and then I want to make the midpoint, so I'll do shift. If I can find the midpoint of this line, sometimes it helps to just make it extra long, so we can do that again. Let's do midpoint. I'll just select a line and this point. Actually, it's not finding that. Let's try that again. I'll do coincident. Shift. There we go. There to there. Alright. And so now that line turns black. And so remember, if I turn off the first body, this is the beginning of the second body. And maybe I know the size that my machine will print. So I'm going to change that line to construction. And maybe my size of that table is getting a little bit harder to select these. I might have to turn off some other geometry. Let me turn off this second body for a minute, and I'll dimension this length, and so maybe I can print a 35 or whatever size. That's the maximum I can put on my table, or something like that. Alright, whatever. You might want to divide this up into equal division. So this is going to be a bit of manual, because each arc is a different size. And so then I'm going to finish that sketch, and I'll do split. I'll do modify. I'll do split the body, and it says select the body to split. I'm going to select this body, select the splitting tool. I'm going to select this splitting tool, and this is where I was thinking maybe I didn't need to have this extend out here past there. I don't know if it needs to extend, because you can tell it to extend the splitting tools. So maybe I could have just gone to that point. I'll say okay to that, and so now this is two bodies, so this is a body and this is a body. Maybe split it that equal distance a couple more times, and then I'll have each one of these bodies that I can 3D print, and then glue them together after I get all of my bodies created. So that portion of it will be a bit manual. Maybe somebody clever can come up with a way to automate that as well.